What's going on, everybody? It's Michelle. I have a special recording today. We want to talk about down low men in the Black community, and also pretty much kind of tying it into like the arrangement of marriages. Mrs. Yolanda King Stevens, she wrote a book called The Upside to the Down Low, and she's talking about her husband who was a pastor that was on the down low. Now, this book is very interesting because I find so many valid points in this interview, and there are a mixture of two interviews in one, because I just wanted to make sure I captured everything that she said in the best way that I could. So let's begin.
Initiated us. When I met him, as in the book states, I met him in my mother's kitchen. And what better place? My mom introduced me to him, and he was the pastor of the church at the time. So I just moved back. He had recently moved back, and it was just a friendly meeting. It wasn't anything involved with it, and it was something that I didn't see as us progressing forward, because he was a pastor and I was going to the club. So it wasn't anything that I saw progressing at the time. But as time moved on and I continued dating and realized that I don't just want to date, I want to be in a committed relationship, I started looking at him differently.
As I was reading it, how he wanted to wait before becoming intimate sexually, and you didn't.
I didn't. Time, I was in my late 20s, and I had been sexually active. I had a child, brought a child into the marriage. And
so it's funny how the book is not about that. It's funny how most of the time when we talk about, or when you hear about in the Black community or society talking about same-sex marriages or queer people, nobody talks about the things that also are an infraction in their religion. No one else talks about that part. No one talks about the fact that she had a child before she was married and brought it into the marriage, right, for another man to take care of. Nobody talks about that. No one spread rumors about that. No one made a big deal about it. But folks want to make a big deal about the queer community. And again, I've always said this, is because it's not relatable. So let's keep watching.
Okay, the synopsis is: an unsuspecting pastor's wife discovers that her husband is having illicit affairs in the church with men, and then she also finds out about women. As she struggles to hold the family together, her husband decides that it's too much for him to bear. The scandal, the talk, and everything is just too much for him to bear, so he decides to take his own life into his own hands. He had great credentials. He graduated from a Baptist college in Tennessee. He was a very charismatic person, very humorous, good looking, and could stand out in a crowd. He was the type of person that you would gravitate to, not only because he spoke well, but also because he knew the Word of God. So you would gravitate to him for that. It was never something that crossed my mind. It was never something that I thought would happen to me. And not that I'm so perfect or so great, but I thought that I had a sense that I could spot someone who may be on the down low or who may be sleeping with other men, and that wouldn't affect my life.
So basically what I would like for all straight women to do is get a gay friend. Go out there, y'all. Get y'all a nice little Judy and take him shopping. Be his friend. I mean, there is no other better friend than a gay man. I'm sorry, ladies, but there is not. So straight girls, if you're out there, if you dated somebody, so you can, call up your friend like, "Ooh, girl, look at him, girl. What you think?" You've got to have some type of connection. The more the church is disconnected from the reality that queer people are not going anywhere, that they exist, that we love God, and that God loves us too, we won't have the type of information necessary to prevent these types of things. So let's keep on going.
Just looking at him, there was nothing that was so outstanding or anything that was flashy that would make me think something of suspect. So, I mean, there were different things that he would do. Like, he liked to get his nails done, but every person in his circle got their nails done. So that was something that was becoming more feminine anyway. So I didn't.
So let's talk about this down low circle in the Black community. So I've seen things and heard things right in front of me, y'all. So there was an instance where I was going to this church, and one of my friends, he was gay, he told me, he said, "Yeah, I got a text message from one of the ministers, and he's married to a woman, and he asked if it was okay for us to hold hands at the movie." And I'm like, wait, hold on. I took that phone and slapped it out his hand. I said, boy, if you don't stop with fooling with that, that's fire. That is so fire. And what it looks like is that this is not something that is of any concern to religion. Your sexuality, who you marry, who you're with, has it should not be connected to religion in any way. And also, I know of gay men who sleep with men and bring their wives to church and they're not together, y'all, just to keep up a front. I've seen that in front of me. This is a very, very critical issue in the Black community. Let's keep watching.
I felt it was true emotions. I felt it was raw emotions. I felt hurt. I felt the pain. I felt cheated, and then the young man felt cheated. I could tell in his posture and his presentation, if you want to say that, I felt that he felt cheated.
They admitted, or were they just kind of?
There was no denial, because again, I didn't ask any questions, but it was very apparent that it had taken place. Mm-hmm. He said that it didn't start off sexual, but it ended up that way. Okay. That it was more mental, more a mentoring, and then it ended up into emotional relationship.
I've also heard about that, about bishops, pastors, elders in the church who have these addicts and who are sleeping with these addicts. I've seen it, I've heard about it, I've seen the pain from it, and it is terrible. It's one of those things that's going to stay hush-hush because the Black community doesn't talk about this type of stuff. They want to push everything under the rug. But this stuff is happening in your churches. It's happening in front of you. Let's keep going.
After everything was revealed, he left. He was standing right out here. They were standing right out here talking and, getting loud with each other. And I was looking through the windows and through the blinds, and I was like, okay, what's going on outside? And as things transpired, he was like, I'm done, I'm leaving. And he left. So I was at home by myself.
Wow.
I was left here to pick up the pieces to deal with exactly what I had just found out. He apologized.
He did.
He did apologize. He apologized, but and my husband, he apologized too for that transpiring, for bringing it into the home, but he never admitted or said, yes, this is true, or no, this isn't true. It was a lot of beat around the bush, or at that time pointing fingers. So it was anything but what the discussion was.
Wow.
Yeah.
When did the community actually find out about it in the church family? Did you all kind of keep it hush-hush, or when did you hear it first, like within the community or within the church?
Well, it's interesting because nobody ever said anything to me. So if there was nobody who came up to me and said, oh, I heard this, or let me tell you about that, or I saw this, that, or the other, I didn't hear that at all.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it out in the community, but I knew the talk was out there. But
Let me tell y'all, so many people have been so upset with me because I have said stuff like that. Hey, if I see somebody that's going in, like, okay, just to say if it's a snake, if I see somebody that's walking in a direction that they're going to be hurt or get bitten, I'm like, hey, it's a snake up there. Don't go up there. Be careful. Make sure you walk up there. You go up there if you want to, but I'm going to make sure I tell you because I love you. Because you will never, ever be able to look at Michelle and say, hey, why didn't you tell me? And our connection and legacy. But I'm not going to be the person that sits back and I'm just like, hey, go ahead. For example, there was a time where I was at this church, y'all, and I was watching the pastor pray for this couple, and it was a gay man. And I was furious. But again, when you have a community of men like that who do the same thing, who marry women just to say that they tried, then you have an enormous amount of Black women who are infected with the HIV virus because these gay men on the down low are too ashamed of themselves to have any type of self care or to take care of anybody else, any type of self-love, right? So this pastor prayed for this couple, y'all, and I could see in the spirit where it was going. I saw her anger. I saw her anger towards the child that she's going to have that is also queer from that man, from that gay man that she married. I'm raising my hand. Hey, marrying a gay man is dumb. Why are you doing that? Right, and like the girl said in this interview, well, he was charismatic, he knew the work. Girl, sit down, girl. Go get you somebody named Bruno, girl, who gonna drink your bath water, boo-boo, who gonna get your oil changed every month. Be with somebody that wants you, right? And stop avoiding the elephant in the entire black community. Let's keep watching. Whew, I'm glad I got that out, boy. Whew.
Friend of mine who is not even in the city, she's up north. She called me and told me that she heard somebody who talked to somebody who go to church with somebody.
She's up north.
She's up north. But she heard about it.
Wow.
And she said, even as a best friend of mine, she said it took her a couple of days to contemplate whether she was going to say anything to me about it.
See, here's the thing. Like, one thing that I can appreciate about my sister, one time she called me, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. She said, Michelle. I said, what, girl? It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I just seen your girlfriend in a car with somebody else. I said, I know that's right, sister. I was like, no, but she right here, though. She good. I'm never, ever going to be that person. If I see danger, I'm going to tell the people around me that I care about because I don't want anybody to get hurt. That's how it should be. All this hush-hush foolishness is killing us, y'all.
And because I was very bitter and hurt by the infidelity. Because by that time I found out about 3 or 4. So I was really just a little over it by that time. And then the last chapter is called God Writes the Final Chapter. And it was a sermon that he actually preached. And he was talking about depression. He was talking about mental illness. He was talking about suicide in that particular sermon. And he preached it 2 years before his death.
And how did your kids cope with that? Do they know everything that actually went on?
Yeah, I have an 8-year-old daughter. She's 8 now, and a 2-year-old son. And he's young. He was 1 at the time, so he really didn't know anything. He just knew that daddy wasn't there. He didn't ask for him. He knew he wasn't there. But my 7-year-old had heard at school. She had heard at school what happened, and when I found out that she heard at school was when I was trying to tell her exactly what happened, because I hear her say,
wow, what a way for your kid to find out how their father died. And all of this hate and all of this complete focus on the queer community and only the queer community in our black culture is causing a broken legacy in kids. Right? This decision this man made had everything to do with the Bible. It had everything to do with church.
And for men who are on the down low, just be honest. I know it may seem like a fear or a stigma that we have in our community, but
while we're telling queer gay men to be honest, while we're telling the queer community to be honest, what are we doing to make sure that they are in a safe space to be honest? Right? The responsibility falls on that as well. You've got to make sure that you're creating a safe space for the men around you who are queer, who are gay, to be themselves and to be accepted and loved. It's a two-way street.
But you know what? When you take the choice away from a woman, take the choice away, you're really building things up in a person that can make it worse. It can make it worse.
And that is exactly what I saw in that woman who was getting prayed for, because she was getting covering to be married to a guy that I know is gay. Everybody knows it, actually. And it causes the type of pain that you see in this woman here. And it also causes the type of pain in men. And I'm going to show you a clip in a second. The next clip is going to be with Donnie McClurkin. So let's keep going.
And you don't want the outcome to happen like what happened with me. You just don't want that.
So just be open, upfront and honest, and let that be that woman's decision to deal with you if you are on the down.
Right.
Didn't know how to have the relationship. I didn't know really what a woman wanted. I've messed up more than I've had good. My past relationships were a sprinkling of everything, men and women. I don't know how to do this. And because of that,
let's take a moment to give Donnie McClurkin the longest round of applause that you could probably ever give a person. This is amazing that he said this. on TV out loud. I am so proud of him. I actually met him when I was like, you know how people get, right? I actually met him. Somebody famous. Okay, girl. No, seriously, I met him in Goldsboro, actually, North Carolina. And he was doing a workshop, and I was in front jumping up and down. They called me Jumping Bean. I talk about that in my book, actually. And he was there, and I sang next to him. And it's just amazing how things come full circle. But let's keep going and see what he says.
When things get rough, I go back into my safe place, my music and my ministry. I want to lay down next to somebody that's going to be with me for the rest of my life. I really do. I miss the fact that I did not have the family unit that I could lay next to my spouse with my baby on my chest and be the quintessential dad that raises up a family like I saw in my dreams and I wanted in my heart. So never having a long-term relationship in my life and never being married, my thing is I chalk that up. I'm gonna probably be alone for the rest of my life as far as a mate is concerned. Happiness is something that's relative. I've got joy. Joy is consistent. Happiness is based on what happens. But joy is a constant type of assurance that everything's gonna be okay.
So, yeah, let's talk about that part. This entire man's life, this man's entire life has been compartmentalized around the idea that who he is attracted to is wrong. So he's missed out on a family. He's missed out on sleeping next to somebody that he dreamt about, somebody that he's always wanted. He missed out on the opportunity to be a father. This man has been robbed of his entire life at any chance to be happy. Period, point blank, the Black community needs to learn how to create safe spaces for queer people, for all people. And just think about how much you don't acknowledge the religious infractions of others outside of the queer community. It makes you a hypocrite. It makes you hypocritical. And it makes your claim to the idea that we are not worthy of God that much more empty. So make sure you guys check out my website at girlaftergodsheart.com. Also, check out my book on Amazon, God, a Lesbian in the Space in Between, and I will catch y'all later. Oh, yeah, and I haven't asked this in a while. Make sure you subscribe. Okay, guys, have a good one.